I'm trying my best. I'm not used to doing everything by myself. I mean, how you go from a whole studio to you in the corner of your dinette in your kitchen? It's like the lights are going off. The camera zooms when you don't need it to zoom. Nothing is right.
Leave Loni alone, Ceej, is what we're saying.
Okay, anyway, moving on. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Loni Love, Emmy-winning talk show host, actor, comedian. Who are you?
We get it. I'm Erica Montolfo, writer, showrunner, and not as famous as Loni, but I'm still her super fun sidekick.
You're the only one working right now, so that's important.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention that. And I have awards too, but nobody brings that up.
Thank you all for joining us. This is our little podcast called Grown Ass Women Talking.
I mean, not so little. It's getting bigger.
It's growing. We are growing.
Like,
and
meow, meow.
We have a fun one today. As you can tell, we're having a great week, and we will tell you why real soon. But our friend Lady Tigra is going to join us. We're going to talk about female competition in the workplace. So that's going to be good. But before we do that, I want to catch up with Erica and find out how her week was. How was your week, Erica?
Oh, Lord. Well, first of all, you see, my hair is not green anymore.
I like it.
Right,
what did you recolor it? What did you do?
Yes, my person came over yesterday, Damon, my hairdresser, and he did like a little cellophane on the end. So now I'm platinum, and I'm liking it. I'm into it. But I will say, go ahead. So
you look great.
Thanks, babe. So do you. I mean, you always look great. I love the little sweater with the like meow meow meow, like
Nina Parker.
Very meow meow. You know, this is new to me. You're famous. People know you. Your face is on television, you're in movies, but I'm behind the scenes, which I'm very happy to be. And so now all of a sudden, I'm going to say a lot of backlash from people in my inner circle when they see us on the podcast. I mean, they love the podcast and they all love you, but the Huxtables, my parents, we're going to call, they'll be known as the Huxtables because I'm bougie like that. So, you know, I have brunch with the Huxtables on every Sunday, as bougie people do. And I told you my mom was like, her first thing was like, I love you and Loni, but you guys cuss too much. So that was her clutching her pearls.
I remember that.
So the green hair last week, she was like, oh, no, we do not do green hair. Like, whoa, you're representing the Huxtables. Like, you cannot go on camera. She was not having it. So even like to the point where I got it done last night. So on Sunday, she saw the green hair in person and she was like, oh, no, you need to take care of that right away. So I got it done yesterday. I call her and I'm like, Mom, it works. My hair is back to blonde. And she was like, send me a picture. So she like needed to see it before I came. So I got Claire Huxtable's approval. She's like, okay, thank goodness.
Mom approved.
I mean, barely. But I'm telling you, Claire Huxtable needs to be on the show because she is. But
I'm going to have her come on.
We'll have her come on. But I will tell you, I said, Mom, you need to come on the show. She's like, let me see how it does first. Claire Huxtable.
I heard that.
Claire Huxtable is not trying to be on any ratchet shows.
I heard that.
She's like, let me see what kind of ratings it gets. Let me see how many followers it gets before I go on.
Well, it's going to be a while then.
Well, yeah. Claire Huxtable will be like in season 10. But then my other backlash was from Corona Bay after our conversation last week.
What happened? Tell the story.
Around quickly, because I know we want to move on to our more interesting conversations. But if you guys listened last week, we talked about younger men, and I talked about my Corona Bay, who's been like in my life for kind of off and on for 4 years. But I was trying to be open and say, hey, do you want to listen? And he knows I call him Corona Bay, which he doesn't love, but he was like, oh yeah, cool. Like, it's funny. Oh yeah, this is great. You know, he's always very supportive. Like, this is going to be really successful. Like, you guys are super funny together. And so he made it seem like everything was fine, right? Mm-hmm. So the next night, we had a couple cocktails. We get in the pool. That's where my hair turned green. And he called me a cougar. Out of nowhere. I mean, I've been dating him for 4 years off and on. And he dropped the C word on me. Not the C word. The other C word I would be okay with because I could be that C word. But he dropped the freaking C word on me, and I was like, excuse me? He's like, well, if I'm Corona Bay, then you're a cougar.
Hey, you know what? He right.
No, but I was like, dude, no, you told me you were okay with this. You told me you were fine with it, but you're passive aggressively coming back to me now and trying to hurt me by calling me a cougar when you could have just said, I told him, if you didn't want me to put it on, just say no. It went to a bad place. I was like, if you were a man, you would have come and told me that you didn't like it, but instead you go passive aggressively and like a B word. So I'm like, I'm B wording him, he's C wording me. It was horrible.
Y'all started going at it.
I mean, so I'm like, did we have a couple fight this weekend?
Yeah, that's a couple.
And we're not even a couple. So yeah, stay tuned. It's I think I blocked him for the week, so I didn't want to talk to him. But I'll unblock him next week.
Okay. All right, Corona babe. On a positive note, though, what else is going on? You have anything positive, Erica? Anybody slide in your DMs?
Oh, well, I will say that's another thing about our little podcast. It's like it's catching on. I had two people. One person who was a person who broke my heart years ago, slid in. We'll keep you posted on that. Oh. And then someone a little bit famous slid in. So again, that'll be the little Stay tuned.
I cannot wait. That is going to be so juicy.
Yeah.
Well, that is our catch up with Erica. And
it's been my week.
It's been your week. But we have a great episode for everyone today. First of all, thank you all. Our initial week was great. Our followers are moving up, our subscribers, so we appreciate it. But we're going to get into a lot of stuff for this week. First of all, Beyonce has a GQ article and how she doesn't use her personal life to sell stuff. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk Beyonce's GQ article, Tiffany Haddish, and the debate. We're going to call the segment Grown Ass News. That's what it's no longer the T, it's grown ass news.
Hell yeah.
Today's grown ass topic, we're going to be joined by our friend Lady Tigra as we talk about female competition in the workplace. We'll get into all of that and more. This is Grown Ass Women Talking. Are you a grown ass woman with something to say? What are you unapologetic about? What's got you fired up?
Are you thrilled the kids are finally back in school? Or mad at your friends for asking you out after 9 p.m.? Or did you get stood up on your third Tinder date this week? Whatever it is, let it all out.
Visit our website at GAWTpod.com and leave us a voice message. That's GAWTPOD.com, or drop us a voice note at GAWTpod@gmail.com. We might just play your message on our next episode.
So don't hold back. This is your space to talk about it.
Welcome back to Grown Ass Women Talking. This is a segment that we call Grown Ass News. Each week, I'll get Erica's take on the week's entertainment, news, gossip, and current events. All news that are pertaining about grown ass women. All right, let's talk about it. You know, I went to a premiere.
Oh God, here we go again. And I didn't. And I was at home.
This premiere was something that I really wanted to go to. It's my friend. Her name is Natasha Rothwell. You may know her. She's a wonderful actress. She used to write on SNL, and she has her first comedy sitcom that is being produced by the Onyx Collective. It's on Hulu. It's called How to Die Alone. And she had this wonderful premiere. She was so funny. And it's about her character's name is Mel. And she plays this woman who is, she works at JFK, and her life is in shambles. And, you know, whenever your life is in shambles, that is a reason for hilarity. We had Nicole Byer to come, Yvette Nicole Brown, and she had a host of people. Her family came down, and it was just so nice to be in a space of positivity and see someone that works really, really hard. I mean, it's like, you know, I know what it's like when you're trying to get a project made. You know what it's like, Erica, you know, when you're trying to get a project made and to see it come and to have your friends and family. At one point, she even was like, you know, I just want to take a minute to look at everyone, just a minute. And she looked, and it was just beautiful. So,
well, I'm happy for her.
She is really a nice girl. And what is funny about that is that not only did her sitcom premiere, but she also got the remember that girl that did the 50 TikToks that was called Who the Fuck Did I Marry? She got the 50 TikToks, and became this, like, it got millions and millions of views. She ended up signing with CAA, and now she's about to have some type of television show or movie, and Natasha is going to produce it.
Oh,
So
good for
that's
her.
why I brought it up. So I was like, wow. So
Well, no,
it's
you
like,
brought it up to brag about the fact that you're going to
yes,
the
of
premiere.
course. Okay,
That's why
yes.
you brought it up. And
Of course I did.
And I feel some kind of way about it because.
But at least I know how to tie in stuff, though, Erica. I just don't bring it up just to be bringing it up. I tie it in.
You tie it in, and we know you're fabulous, and I'm still pissed off that I never get to go with you. And I know James was there with you eating popcorn. I have beef with James now because of this.
You
Like,
know what?
I
James
hate
don't
James.
care. He didn't even know. He was like, "What? Who is this lady?"
I hate that you're pitting me and James against each other.
I love it. Okay. Moving on, Beyonce did the cover of GQ, and she gave a very rare interview. You know, Beyonce do not like giving no interviews, honey.
She's
okay?
busy with her brown liquor on the yacht. Right? I mean,
she's been doing it.
I love baby.
But she looks beautiful.
Of course.
She has some beautiful pictures. But I found it was like interesting, some of the things that she's saying, because it was quotes all over the place.
What she said?
One of the quotes she said, and I want to get your thoughts on this. She says, "One thing I worked extremely hard is on making sure my kids can have as much normalcy and privacy as possible, ensuring my personal life isn't turned into a brand. It's very easy for celebrities to turn our lives into performance art. I have made an extreme effort to stay true to my boundaries and protect myself and my family. No amount of money is worth my peace." What do you think about that?
Okay, I'm going to tread lightly because I know I get us in trouble all the time. I know. That's why J-Lo is not checking for me right now. But I will say, I mean, I think that she absolutely believes that. I do think that, you know, the genie's out of the box, you know, with like her, you know, with Blue Ivy. I mean, Blue Ivy's already like a star. So, you know, she's going to have to navigate that. And you know, I think Blue Ivy wants to be a star. I think she's like Northwest. Like they have like they're like drawn to the limelight, which is, you know, wonderful. You want to encourage that. But I think that's a tall order to try to keep them separate from her, you know, celebrity. It just is what it is.
Well, she did mention that about the Blue Ivy, and she said that Blue Ivy wants to be a performer.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why she put her on the tour. And as you can tell, she has growth and everything. I mean, she chose to go, you know, on stage, and she's very, very, very protective of the twins. If you notice, we rarely get
we
to
don't
see them.
see
We're
them.
like, we forget she had
Yeah,
kids
I'm like, who-
sometimes. Like,
twins?
wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
It's Blue, and it's the twins. So
But don't you think they're gonna hate Blue Ivy when they get older? Because it's
No.
like that bitch Blue Ivy took all our shine.
It's like fun. Well, I'm sure that if they want to get into the arts, they will. But
Right.
the thing that I think she's talking about is you don't ever see her getting up there on Instagram Live going, you know, at
No, that's
3
true.
o'clock in the morning.
That's
You
true.
know, tell me y'all need to buy my liquor.
No. But can we like do a little Beyonce pivot? Because there's new breaking news that she got, you know, like snubbed by the Country Music Awards.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
Yeah.
The CMA's Country Music Awards were announced this week. And Beyonce's Cowboy Carter did not pick up any nominations whatsoever.
The shade of it all.
The CMA's Country Music Awards. Shout out to Harper's Bazaar because they put out an op-ed piece, and in the op-ed piece that was written by Bianca Bentoncourt, she says, "Let's be clear, the CMAs don't deserve Beyonce.
100%.
The Country Music Association refused to recognize Cowboy Carter in any categories for his upcoming awards, though the project was indisputably one of the biggest country albums, not just of the year, but of all time." Now, it's important to remember that when Beyonce did this, Beyonce said, y'all, this ain't a country album. This is a Beyonce album. Because the album had little futuristic stuff, but it also had it had a lot of the country genre on there. You also had Dolly Parton, you had Willie Nelson that made, features on the album. So that album was country. I don't understand, you had what was it? The number one song, Texas, what's the
Right,
number?
Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, you had Texas Hold'em as the
Right.
number one song for weeks. So for
Absolutely.
them not to nominate that, I'm like, that does look kind of shady. And on top of that, Post Malone, who was also a rapper, he produced a country album. He got like 4 nominations. It's like, now how he get 4 nominations and y'all ain't get nothing to Beyonce?
But let me tell you
Beyonce
something.
told y'all.
Let me tell you something. I have a couple of takes on this. The first one is, if you, and I mean this in the best possible way. you know, when I preface something like that, it's gonna be shady. But if you've ever met Beyonce, she's country as hell. I mean, she's
That's Houston.
100%. And I'm saying that the best possible way. My parents are both from the South. My dad's from Alabama. My mom's from Mississippi. And I grew up listening to, like they listen to Charlie Pride. They listen to Willie Nelson. They listen to Dolly Parton. They listen to they totally listen to country music because that's what they grew up with. And country music is black music. And the fact that, like, for whatever reason, it has become more exclusionary is, it's problematic and troublesome. And I think that's why, the whole thing happened when back in the day when Beyonce performed with the Chicks. Now they're not the Dixie Chicks, they're the Chicks.
Right.
And she got backlash for that. Cause like, oh, why are they performing with Beyonce? She's not a country artist. She's just as country as the rest of them. She's from Texas. You know what I mean?
And, I mean, even, the number 2 song was with her and Miley Cyrus, Most Wanted. So
exactly.
You can't say that she didn't use country artists. The good thing out of all of this, though, is the artist Shabubi.
Oh, yeah, Shabubi got like 3 or 4 nominations, right?
Yes, and he did pay homage to Beyonce. He said, with that said, I want to, show my appreciation to her. And, we still have the Grammys. So I'll be interested to see if the Grammys puts her in the country genre for
I think they
Cowboy
will.
Carter.
I think they will.
Yeah, because this is ridiculous.
But we know what it is. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, it's sad to say, but it's like, it's not even so much like a racist thing. I won't even say that, but I think it's like a cultural thing. I think that because she's been such a pop / R&B / hip hop icon, they're never gonna embrace her. You know what I mean? Country music wants to be its own thing, and that's why the Shabuzis and the Darius Ruckers, there's definitely black artists that are accepted in country music, but they haven't been like pop sensations or like, you know what I mean?
Shabuzi.
What did I say?
CJ said,
what did I say?
No, I probably mispronounced his name.
You're rubbing off on me. You're rubbing off on me.
No, I said it's Shabuzi, but yes, you are correct. And the last thing I want to say about this is that you cannot gatekeep music. We don't do it with R&B. We allow Adele to come in. Was it JT, Justin Timberlake? We let everybody come in. So the same thing should happen in this case.
We're like the Democrats. We let anybody come in.
Moving on, your girl Tiffany Haddish made news.
My girl, okay.
I love Tiffany.
I do
She
too.
made news for the New York Fashion Week. She was at a runway with the Hiltons, and it was Paris, and it was Nikki and
meow,
the
meow.
mother. And yes, fancy. And I guess they were egging her on to walk the runway. They dared her to walk the runway. And so she did. And I think the runway was just starting. And so Tiffany ended up doing like a lap around, and then some of the models were coming out, and everybody was like laughing and everything. She got a lot of backlash from that because people felt like that's not decorum when you do. Have you ever been to New York Fashion Week?
Darling, you don't know that I used to be a model when I was a teenager. I had a moment. I was the worst model ever. I mean, I literally never got booked. I was like, I'll be sitting in the we had like a apartment with a bunch of, young girls, and they'd be all going to the runway. I'd be sitting at home eating Cheetos, whatever. So I never got booked. But yes, I'm familiar with the world. And what show was it? Do you know? Do you know what show she was walking?
Oh, you asking me too big questions. I didn't read it. I didn't read
Because it makes a difference. No, I'm kidding. But no,
it makes a difference. Who? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, the girls trip actress was seated next to Paris and Nikki at the Montse. I want to say Montse Spring 2025 show on Saturday. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. We don't know who the person was.
Well, listen, I mean, I will say this. I mean, again, I was the D-est of list of models back in the day, but I will say that New York Fashion Week, especially with like Anna Wintour and all those people, like there is some shade going on. Like, do you hear about the whole thing with like Rihanna and Naomi? And
how Rihanna came into it was New York Fashion Week. Rihanna
right, all this is going on,
and she just ignored. It was La Roche too, and they were like
exactly La Roche. How dare you?
I call him La Roche. Everybody's been calling La Roche.
Oh, I call it La Roche. Maybe I'm doing the most. La Roche.
You're just doing too much. But just to go back to the whole Tiffany thing, a lot of people gave backlash because they felt like she was cooning for rich folks. They felt like it was a mean girl moment with the Hiltons.
They were mean girling her, you think?
Yeah. Well, some people feel like they were mean girling her because they know that that's not the decorum,
right?
And that you don't do that. So for them to laugh and say, "Yeah, go on and do it,"
yeah.
And then as she's doing it, they're like,
Right.
So I mean, at the end of the day, Tiffany has always been Tiffany. She's a funny girl. She's a jester, but it gives her headlines, though.
Well, 100%. And she puts herself out there. But I will say, again, going back to the New York Fashion Week and all, that is mean girl central. It just is. I mean, it's like all that. It's like being in high school. You know what I mean? It's like being in beautiful, bougie, $1 million dress high school because they're setting each other up. Naomi's mad because, Rihanna won't talk to her. Rihanna's mad and shading Beyonce. It is what it is. It's mean girl high school. And poor Tiffany is the one who was bussed into the neighborhood. That's horrible.
Did you say she was bussed?
Yes.
This is why we don't like bussing.
This is why we cut out Erica's conversations.
We put you in.
So I can edit it out a lot.
You said that this is what happens when you bust us in. This is like we're going to walk the runway. We're going to have fun. She was just having fun. That's my opinion is she was just having fun.
She was
it hadn't started, but the problem is, once it started, I think one of the models was like looking at her like, what is she? What
you know what this reminds me of, and this goes back to your world of being a comedian. Like this is when the difference between people laughing with you and laughing at you. It's like why Dave Chappelle quit his whole thing. It's like they're laughing at me now. When that happens.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on. It has been announced that Kendrick Lamar is going to headline the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show. I don't know why they did it so early because we just started playing football this week.
Football is all year round now. It's like a whole thing. It's become
the actual NFL season started like this week, Erica, and they usually wait to announce who's going to be the halftime performer.
Oh, do they?
For some reason, you don't know about sport. Okay, look.
I like football.
Anyway,
I watch it.
I'm telling you, the timing of it was very suspect, and so when they announced that Kendrick would be the headlining act, because Super Bowl is going to be in New Orleans, he got a lot of discussion, a lot of backlash because they feel like people like Lil Wayne and other New Orleans artists should have been giving the headlining act. Now, this is the thing that a lot of people, I mean, it was like this big rush.
Right.
And, whenever something like this happens, I just wait and let stuff simmer. I want more of the story to come out. Like,
gotcha.
Why was he picked? And, some people are throwing out all kind of allegations and conspiracies. They're saying, Jay-Z don't like Drake. He don't like Lil Wayne. Why is he doing this? And then what happened was Lil Wayne's I guess manager / engineer he was the first person that kind of started it. He put out a tweet, or he put out an IG. He basically said disappointed and hurt, something
they're
like
hating,
that.
Of course they're hating on it.
But that's what opened up everybody. And then what happened is that everybody is thinking, because of what happened with Dr. Dre and the Super Bowl that was here in LA. They were like,
that was the best
why
one ever.
But the Super Bowl halftime show has never been about, where whatever city the artist is put in. That has never been it. That was just an exception for Dr. Dre. Also, everybody was saying Jay-Z picked the headliner. No, what Jay-Z's job as the Super Bowl head of entertainment of the halftime is that his group of people give the city a short list.
Right.
That short list is given to the city. The city picks who they want as the headliner.
Well, don't you think, here's my question. I do think, to your point, it hasn't been about the city beforehand, but I think it started with J-Lo and Shakira in Miami. So they did a whole Miami thing. So that worked well. And then the LA thing to me was epic, but I'm from LA, so I'm biased. So I think they're like, okay, well, that worked so well. People's expectations are, let's do New Orleans. But then Kendrick had a freaking epic year. You know what I mean? So and Jay-Z's in charge of the halftime show. So who's he going to go to? This is this guy. And who else is going to be, who's going to draw more eyes? That's what a bottom line comes down to, is who's going to draw more eyes to the halftime show.
Well, Kendrick has won 17 Grammys. He's earned a Pulitzer Prize. Pulitzer?
Here you go.
Pulitzer Prize.
No, Pulitzer. You and your words.
This is the thing, though. Seriously. And, when you got to think that over 100 million people, 300 million people are going to watch this show. So, they're probably looking at who would be the best performer, who's going to show up, who's going to do their thing. And after he wins 17 Grammys, and he's the biggest star right now when it comes to rap. But also, I want to say that, a lot of people were taking up for Jay-Z because they said that, hey, everybody is thinking that Jay-Z doesn't like Lil Wayne, but Lil Wayne even admitted on camera at a concert that Jay-Z helped him to cover his taxes.
Oh, wow.
He had owed $14 million in taxes.
14 million?
Yeah, I need Jay-Z to help me. So
damn.
There's a lot of misconceptions about, the whole halftime. And that's what I mean by when I say you let things simmer and then you find out. And then, Kendrick is going to be the performer.
But can I ask you a question?
Everything will be fine.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
You always say no, but then I ask anyway.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's my question. So do you think that Kendrick will ask Lil Wayne to come on stage with him and co-perform, or whatever, come up and perform? And if Kendrick was to ask you as Lil Wayne, would you say yes, or you'd be like, fuck that because I don't want your sloppy seconds?
Okay, to answer your question,
Yeah.
I don't know what Kendrick will do. I do think that he's going to plan something for the culture.
Sure.
More so than just the New Orleans culture. I think it'll be for the culture because that's what he's been on par to do.
100%.
If I was Lil Wayne and he asked me, I would accept.
You would.
Because that is the biggest audience. Yeah, you let ego go. That's the biggest audience in the world. So you can't, you can't beat that. So moving on as we close.
Okay.
And we talk about women in the workplace.
Oh, boy.
The debate was this week between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Did you see some of it?
Yes, I did. And I am perplexed.
Why are you?
Well, first of all,
perplexed?
I think that Kamala is listening to our podcast because she's been pussy bowing it up for the whole season now. So your suggestion that she wear a pussy bow, she has taken to heart because she was
I
pussy.
love that.
Yeah, and she looked great. I don't understand at this point how anybody, and again, I'm not trying to tell you to vote for, I'm not trying to be political, but I don't understand how anyone can take Donald Trump seriously. I mean, he went off the rails talking about how people, immigrants are eating dogs from neighborhoods. Did you see that part?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna read some of the responses
Yes,
because full disclosure, this is right after the debate, so I want to
Yeah, it's
read
still
what some
going
of the
on right
people-
now, right?
Yeah, it's over. It's
Okay,
over
well,
now.
we
It
didn't
was a
see the end.
90-minute debate. It was on ABC. I think that the two moderators did the best that they could. They even tried to mute his mic, but then he kept talking sometimes.
I mean,
Like,
what are you gonna do?
you know what the thing is that she baited him. It's been alleged that Hillary Clinton spoke to Kamala Harris before, right before the debate, and she baited him. And you know when she baited him? When she talked about the size of his rallies. And for some reason, it was like, because when she initially came out, to me, in my opinion, she was nervous. You could tell she was. I mean, this is the biggest speech of your life.
100%.
So you know. But it was like she really like some of the comments, a couple of them. Kamala just turned in one of the best debate performances since Obama. Trump looked anti-patriotic and weak the entire debate. Harris has what it takes to unite the country and move us forward. That was a couple of it. All night, Trump only said they destroyed the country. Bad the immigrants. A single simple message, because like this is the mind of his followers. Simple. Not my words, someone else.
Right. Sure.
You know, there are some people, make America great again. So they just
people are gonna, they're gonna be 100%. They're like in the cults, you know.
Definitely. But you know, she used her facial expressions. He did insult her a lot, and she would just use her facial expressions. Wasn't emotional about that part. I think she did very well. I mean, I knew within the first like 20 minutes, I said she did very well to go up against a person. He even threw his vice president under the bus. J.D. Vance, by saying, when they were talking about him doing an abortion ban.
Right.
And he said, you know, and this is the one thing where the moderators came in and they were like, well, you know, your vice president said that you would approve a federal abortion ban. And he's like, well, you know, we haven't talked.
Right.
I was like, no, Donald.
100%. And he was like, yeah. We have different opinions about that. So yeah, he definitely threw him under the bus. And I think, listen, I love that Kamala knows. Like, it's like when you know how to work with a bully, or you know how to address a bully. He's a bully. He's easy. It's his ego. So the minute she goes after crowd size, you know, like even how Obama did like the crowd penis joke, you know what I mean? Like he can't help himself. He's like, I have the biggest crowds and I have the biggest supporters in history of us. I mean, like, he can't help but be hyperbolic in that moment. So she like was reeling him in, and that's the problem. But still, to your point, he still has his cult. Like there's nothing he can do at this point to lose his supporters.
And that's not what we were looking for. We were looking, it's the independents,
right?
And it's the undecided.
Like
this
Oprah was
debate
saying,
was for them. It's like you have to show that she's capable of handling, and if she's capable of handling a person like this,
right,
she's capable of handling world leaders.
Well,
here's what capable of doing that.
Here's what I will ask you, because I heard today, I was watching The View, I think, and Sunny was talking about she had gone to Don Lemon, had like some kind of book, like signing, and his concern, and they were both talking about this, and this is a real concern. They talked to people, out in, rural areas, or even in, the Midwest or wherever, and the biggest question was, who is she? Who is Kamala? Like, they don't know her, because as vice president, she's kind of been, overshadowed, as most vice presidents are, and she hasn't had the opportunity to show you who she is. So this was her opportunity. And so do you think that tonight the independents, or those people who have concerns about that, are now seeing, okay, I could see this woman as president?
Well, I think she showed it tonight. The polls and some of the, I only look at some of the polls, not the exit polls for voting, but tomorrow, right now, they're doing a bunch of like rural polls that will figure out what people, are thinking about her. And you still have about 50 days to understand who she is. The thing is, the information is out there, people. If
Yes.
you want to know who she is, you can go to a rally. She said, if you want to know who Donald Trump is, go to one of his rallies. That was so smart.
That was very smart. Very smart.
Like,
100%.
Once she did that, I was like, ooh, she.
Yeah, I'm inviting you to go to see his rally.
Yeah, go and
like,
see,
yes.
and go and see, and
Right.
see what he talks about and things like that. And the same thing with her. If you want to know who she is, I mean, this is the thing. She makes it very accessible. She puts it online for you. Every rally that she does, if you follow her on IG or Facebook, she puts it on there so you can find out what she's talking about and what she's saying. You don't have the excuse now because we have modern technology. And the thing that we always say here at Grown Ass Women Talking is that we don't care about who or what your political party is.
Right.
We care that you vote.
Absolutely.
Because voting is a privilege. There are people that have died that you could sit here and we can have this conversation and we can see the first woman president. And there are a lot of ballots. There are a lot of measures on the ballot that are going to affect you and your family, especially your daughters. So we ask that all you do is make sure you're registered to vote. Go to whenweallvote.org. When We All Vote is very important. It will give you all the information. It will check your voter registration. It'll tell you where you need to go. And that's it. That's our responsibility as grown as women. That's what we do. We want to make sure that you have the tools. Oh, and in breaking news,
what happened?
Right on IG, Miss Taylor Swift has made a statement. She says, like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on issues at hand and stances these candidates take on topics that matter to you the most, blah, blah, blah. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe in, a warrior to champion them. I think she's a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we are led by calm and not chaos. And it's a bunch of other stuff. And she says, with love and hope, Taylor Swift, childless cat lady.
Wow. First of all, can I just say, no, you did not just blah, 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 Tay-Tay.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And Ceej would be like, we can't read all of that. Would you get to the point?
I mean, I'm getting past all that.
This is huge. This is a picture with her cat. And she just, right now she's at 447,000 likes.
I mean, talk about grown-ass women taking a stand. That's what grown-ass women should. And question for you, Lonnie Love. Do you think this moves the needle?
I think that, for one thing, when it comes to Taylor, she was getting questions for last week because her counterpart, Brittany Mahomes,
right?
She's been liking some of Trump's tweets and his stories. And so people were saying, oh, she's MAGA. We don't know that. But because she was liking his things, there was questions of what was Taylor. Taylor hadn't endorsed anyone.
Right.
And then when the first football game for Kansas City came up, they did not sit in the same box. But when the U.S. Open came, Taylor and her boyfriend was there with Brittany and her husband, and they hugged.
Right.
So people were like, oh, my goodness, how is she? Which I feel like you can still, you could be friends with someone that's not,
you should
in your
be
politics.
Absolutely. But
she hadn't endorsed anyone. So for this to happen right after the debate is huge. It's something that, it will move the needle for her followers. She has great influence. She has gotten hundreds of thousands of people to vote. So she is letting it be known who she wants to vote for. And you know what? She was smart about it. She waited until the debate to make sure she wasn't embarrassed like that last one. And that's what it is. So I'm sure we'll be getting more endorsements, more people giving their feelings about this. This is huge for this country. This is democracy. This is what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to be able to freely talk about, what we're who we're going to vote for and why and what are our policies. This is wonderful.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to, tell anybody who you want to vote for, that's your business too. But democracy is not pretty, people.
Well, yeah, of course. But I can also say this is a grown-ass woman moment because Tay is now, saying this is how I believe unapologetically. She's not trying to pretend like she's somebody she's not. It's like you have to take a stand sometime as a grown-ass woman. And this is the year, in my opinion, of grown-ass women where obviously Kamala is our, North Star, but you have to reckon with us. You can't be a person who goes around, and again, this is all alleged, and Donald Trump not telling you who to vote for, but a person who, tells people you can grab women by the pussy and you could take away their rights for reproductive rights is not going to stand in this country. We as women, as grown-ass women, are not going to have that. So this is our moment.
Women around the world, there are so many things that are happening. If you look at Afghanistan, the rights of women have been taken. If you look at India, they have a huge problem with domestic violence and sexual assault. And so it's very easy for policies to be changed that fall into a dangerous zone for women. And this is the reason why it's important for everybody to do their duty and to actually really understand what's happening in our country. And what I like about this whole thing with them changing from Biden to Harris, it has energized the young people.
Absolutely.
It's gotten them more involved because this is going to affect their future. And she even mentioned that during the debate, how all of this stuff affects them, the young people. If you have daughters, if you have sons, this election is going to affect them. My old ass is like, it is what it is. Okay. But, for the future and just to see that she has re-energized, that's more important to me than, a lot of things. So, good on Taylor, good on everybody that's going to continue to do the endorsements and speak up and speak out and be a part of the democratic process. That's all I want. I also want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. But I also want people to stop underestimating women because, once you strike a chord with us and try to take our rights away, we fought so hard for the rights that we have, which is the vote, reproductive rights. And then all of a sudden you try and take them away. Like, no, don't come for us. We will come for you. And that's what's happening right now. Like, women are galvanizing, which is a beautiful thing to see.
With that said, we're going to come back and we're going to talk to Lady Tigra about the female competition in the workplace. Ooh, it's going to be a good one. This is grown-ass women talking. Today's guest has been hailed as one of the queens of 80s hip-hop and a trailblazer in the Miami-based movement. As part of the iconic duo La Trim, she gave us the unforgettable hit Cars with the Boom, which climbed the Billboard charts and cemented her place in music history. With 3 albums recorded before her 21st birthday and a lasting influence on artists like Gwen Stefani, her sound recently saw a resurgence when the pop star JoJo Siwa's viral TikTok brought La Trim to a new generation. Lady Tigra continues to make waves with her upcoming EP, Black Rice, produced by Spencer, and a special collaboration with her former group member, Bunny B. She remains a vibrant force in the underground music and art scenes of New York, Miami, and LA. Please welcome to the show a grown-ass woman, Lady Tigra. Hello, Lady Tigra.
Hello. I love that introduction. I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's me. I did that.
She's the queen of introductions.
I love it.
Amazing. Thank you for that.
How have you been?
Man, I'm surviving. Just living life and vibing at the same time.
Well, we have a lot to talk to you about today because today's grown-ass topic, we're diving into competition in the workplace. You know what, ladies? Some of us have held jobs where a coworker seems to step on us or try to watch us fail, or whatever they do, they try to stand out, even if it means stepping on you to get ahead. But what happens when that person is another woman? Let's be real. Sometimes we fall into the there can only be one trap. thinking about a scarcity mindset when it comes to success. And so today we're going to flip the script and explore why there's power in working together. The truth is, there's more room at the top if we let it be. We're calling this topic the other woman competition in the workplace. Lady T, this all started with a conversation between you and Erica you were having. Can you share that story?
Yeah, we were at her house having some fermented bubble juice.
In the pool.
At the pool with some cheese and stuff. And just started, pontificating, thinking about life. And just how, in general, in just about any industry, you're usually the only woman in the room. And the challenges that we face in that space. But also in a lot of spaces, you're the only Black person in the room, and then you combine those, and now you're the only Black woman in the room. And the challenges that we face, specifically the glass ceilings and stuff. I know myself as a musician, oftentimes I'm getting spoken over at the studio. I'm getting, these very aggressive suggestions about what I should do with my voice and my music, and I'm like, but everybody's here because of me. You're all here, engineer, y'all here because of me. Like, how are you talking over me right now?
Yeah.
So it is. I have found though that when I do work, team up with, for instance, my friend Coco Morier, who's a female producer. She's white. She faces the same challenges. And usually when we're together in a room, we're very careful about how we speak to each other because we're just so grateful to have somebody who's with a shared experience about how hard that is. Now, when we talk about being from a marginalized group, being a woman, being somebody who is powerful, who has a voice, who's not going to back down, and now you're in the space and there's someone else just like you, sometimes you have to speak so loudly, you're so used to being spoken over, that you see your mirror, and rather than cling to each other, you're like, uh-oh, if I'm going to keep my space, I better be the loudest in the room. I better talk over everybody. And I found that it not only diminishes when you're trying to get big on another Black woman, it doesn't diminish them, it diminishes you as well, because as we know, when we come together as a group, we change the world. We are currently 40 minutes after the debates right now. Black women are constantly saving the world, and when we get together, it's a powerful thing. We start movements, we change laws, and I feel like we've been granted that power and that voice and that will to be able to face those challenges and to be able to unite. Because like you said, there's enough room for everybody at the top. It's a big pie and there's a piece for everybody. It's just very disheartening when you're there. Sometimes I'm trying to lift up other people and they don't want the lifting. They just want the competition.
Yeah, what happened? Do you have a specific example like when that has happened to you, when you've tried to help someone, or and then they just said, no?
Yeah, I can probably say I have several specific situations like that where I've been in a room and been I love what you're doing. I'm quote unquote the inspiration of what you're doing. Let me lend you a little bit of what I know. And it's been absorbed, and at first it's been utilized and then met with resistance and then discarded. Because now all of a sudden, if I'm doing what you do as well as you do, even though I've been trying to mentor you, I don't need you. And now you're actually in my way because there's not space for two of us.
I've had very similar situations coming up as a writer and a comedy writer, as a woman, being the only woman oftentimes in a room, in a comedy room, the only Black woman oftentimes for sure in the room. But I've always had some actually really lovely female showrunners who have championed me, who have mentored me. And so I always want to pay that back. Right before I kind of got into writing, there was a couple of really successful Black female showrunners, right? And I'm not going to give out names, but
I
But
remember.
yeah, and it was like like a little bit of a renaissance for them. But then it was like, not only was there not enough room for you to come on, but you also had to kiss the ring to be brought on. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so you had to be in a certain camp, or you had to be. So I was in a couple of different camps from different shows, and so luckily enough, these women were lovely to me. But the other women whose camp I wasn't in were like, oh, when I got my own show, well, why didn't you call me about your show? I'm like, I don't know you. I never worked for you. But it's like, no, but you need to kiss the ring in order to get to this next level, basically. So there was that kind of fishing in a barrel situation. But I honestly, hopefully, I don't think it happens as much now, because I do try to your point, Teague, I try to pay it forward by being a mentor to these young women writers that I work with now. And because there's room for all of us. The bottom line is, keep your head down and work, and rely on your talent, and it will reward you. You don't need to kiss anybody's ass or be in a certain clan to like perpetuate yourself in this business. And I think that's new. I think before maybe you did, but now I where I am right now, like every show I've been on in the last few years, I don't know anybody. I'm just there because I'm a good writer. People want to work with me. I'm a good producer. People want to work with me. So I think we can use our merit to propel ourselves without having to, belittle anyone else. And I'm happy to be like, I work with young women writers every day. I'm like, hey, you want me to read your pilot? I'll read it for you. Like, I'm working now on a show where there's a lot of young women who, um, are trying to kind of get into the world. And I'm always like, listen, I'll read your pilot. I'll read your, like, write something. Write, like, first thing I say to them is write something, because a lot of them haven't written anything yet. I'm like, write something, let me read it, and I'll help you. You know what I mean? So I have no problem doing that. I want to pay it forward. But I think, like, you know, I don't know why women pit themselves against each other, because we are stronger together.
I started out as an engineer and I worked around a bunch of men. Then I became a stand-up comic and it was a bunch of men. Then I went on a daytime talk show, which was women that I had to work with both in front of and behind the camera. It was say 80% women. And that's when I got my lesson,
Mm,
because I did not realize that some women, and I'm talking about the ones behind the camera, whatever, could be so divisive, could
mm,
be so selfish and insecure. And I learned that it's really hard to work with insecure women. So when you
sure.
ask, well, why can't women necessarily, why is it always this female rivalry? A lot of them are insecure. And my thing is, you two ladies have talent. And when you're working with women that are talented, they're usually educated, they're usually smart, they're not sitting here trying to push down someone else. But when you're working with a group of women and they know their insecurities, that's a lot of times is what's happening, is that they know that they have an insecurity and they try to push it out on you, and you have to be strong enough to recognize it and say, you know what, I'm not dealing like this. So and also there's a lot, I didn't realize there was so much of that mean girl bullying with
Mm-hmm.
women, like especially as they got older. I saw this is this high school?
Right.
Like, I was dealing with women in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and it's like y'all still doing mean girl stuff. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
my constitution is really strong, where I don't, I've always been a loner. I've always, been a person, because as a stand-up comic, you have to be. You stand up on that stage by
Right.
yourself. So I had to, but working on a show that was 80% women was so hard.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn how to deal with it. And I think, right, what happens with us politically, what's happening with us right now, is that we're trying to break that cycle of female rivalry.
I think so.
There are a couple of things I wanted to say. You, Erica, was saying lean into your talent, keep your head down, work hard. I think those are the two most important things, because I think when you're talking about insecurity, I think everyone has some talent, but people don't realize that it also takes hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what happens with the insecurity thing is two parts, where it's you're insecure because if you're a woman, you've been in rooms with so many men that have been so insecure that you might be more talented or smarter than them, that they're constantly wearing you down.
100%.
They're so insecure themselves that they're constantly trying to break your confidence. So by the time you reach a place where it's all women, then by then they're insecure, you know?
100%.
I also feel like recognizing that insecurity in other women, and maybe that's where you start, is kind of letting them know you're not a threat. I'm not your competition. I'm your sister. I'm here for you.
And you could do that a lot of times. They don't believe you.
And also, I'm not standing down and I'm not rattled. So the choice is yours. You're either in competition with me that you will not win, because I've been in those rooms and I've stayed confident, or you're an ally and I help you win. I help you get to how I am and where I am and how to fight these men back.
Well, one thing they say, and they say that you should do in order to break the cycle, is to not talk badly about other women, gossip, or throw them under the bus. If you have constructive feedback for another woman, share it with her directly and respectfully. Talk to her, but not about her.
Well, that's, I mean, going back to what you were just saying, T, I think like being allies is so important. And again, not to bash men. I'm not trying to be a man basher, but I think this but here I go.
I'm down.
But here we go. The patriarchy is what we're, victims of, right? So we're coming in, the patriarchy is giving us one slot. Okay, girls, fight it out. And so we gotta, they're making us fight like, gladiator. They're putting us in the terror dome to fight it out, to have that one slot. The more we can create our own opportunities and opportunities for other women, that's how we, don't have to fight for that one slot. We're letting the patriarchy dictate what we have to do. And so I think that we're in the process of like fighting back against that. And once we get that out of the way, then it's like, yes, I'm an ally to you. Like, I want to bring my sister up with me and give you the benefit of what I've gone through. And then you can take this on to the next generation. That's how I feel. So especially I've been doing this for 25 years or close to. I always hate to tell my age, but I want the young women who come to me and say, oh, how do I get a career like yours? First of all, I'm like, well, I don't know how, because at this point, this is very different, industry. But I want to help you and shepherd you to bring other women along behind you, because that's the point, right? What are we doing if we're not trying to, create a legacy?
What about when it is a 50-year-old woman? I do have an example of when I was in my early 20s and trying to top of my game in that era, and there was a very powerful Black female executive at a very powerful label that fought against having us there. And then the flip of it was that her bosses were like, you have to mentor them. And she just picked and picked and picked. And so it was like hard, because here was someone I was so excited to work with. Here was someone I looked up to, who, and this is like, I guess for younger women that come across someone who is established, who's older, and who's insecure. Or also for us who are in our several decades in, who come across women our own age. How do you feel that we can offer or lend advice, strength or advice to women who are disappointed in other women?
Well, the thing that I would say is, to younger women today, I would say stop having expectations. To stop looking at a person and thinking, oh, because she a woman, she gonna help me, or because they Black, they gonna help me, or because they, they're young. No, that's the one thing I learned, is I stopped having expectations of people, and I tried to figure out, especially in a work environment, workplace, who is this person? I try to figure it out, and then I find who is the person that I can go to. It might be an older man, it might be a younger man, it might be a woman, but I stop, having this expectation that because she's a woman, she's gonna be for me. I stop that.
Or against
I got to look at them as a person.
No, and I get that, but what I will say on a my Erica positive note of being an optimist, like I will say, again, on the grown ass woman tip, I think that as we get older, we learn to, we have our radar gets better, right? So it's like we got our spidey senses of people who we can't trust and who we can trust gets better. And that's why the three of us are here right now, because Loni and I came together in a way where it was a professional relationship for sure. But I'm like, I like her. And she won't admit it, but she likes me too. And we trust each other. Like, look at that face. But we trust each other. And it's like we became champions for each other. And that's why this podcast is happening, because it's like, listen, we're grown-ass women. We have a real connection, and we want to talk to other women like us who are champions of grown-ass women. Like, we're supportive of each other.
It's the era of the grown-ass woman, y'all.
Lady Tigra, you came up at a time when hip-hop was the birth of hip-hop. And I know you've seen and you've had to endure a lot. What did you do at times when maybe you felt like, females weren't helping you? What did you do to help soothe yourself or keep your self-esteem up?
This is great. I think maybe this is where the conversation started, is that there were so few of us. The fight was real. It was brand new. Hip hop was brand new. At the time it was defining itself. There was no auto tunes. If you heard a Rakim a cappella, you knew it was Rakim. If you heard somebody sounding like Rakim, you'd be like, that's a biter, because you knew the sound so well. You knew who Big Daddy Kane was. You never questioned which artist was on the radio, which song it was. And when the girls came out, it was still this very multifaceted thing, but with the attachment to, we're only going to be recognized, we're only going to be respected if we wear the bomber jackets and the gold chains and dress like the guys. So it was sort of like, and a lot of the girls came out because the guys put them on. Like, you're only relevant because you're tied to this male band. And so being that it was this like fight, by the time we came out, we were like, our prefrontal cortex wasn't developed. So we didn't really know we were supposed to dress like the boys or like talk a certain way or be from somewhere. So we were just like, we going to the mall, we gonna look for boys. I'm wearing lipstick. And people liked it. And then, but some people did not. Some people were like, you are soft. And we were like, yeah, we're girls. And they were like, no. You're supposed to wear gold chains.
Right. And
biker shorts and bomber jackets. Otherwise, you're not a real rapper. And we're like, what do you mean? We're fucking badass rappers. We're fly. So we would often tour, mostly with men, but then we'd meet other girls on the road. Other girls who would definitely try to punk us and be like, you're not doing it the way you're supposed to do it. You're not the real thing. You're not supposed to be here.
And no, I got a number one song. What are you talking about?
Right. And also, like, but we were like, a lot of these were people we admired and looked up to, and we'd see, you get the roster of where you're going, and we'd be like so excited, like, yeah, we're gonna get to meet this person, we're gonna get to play with them, and it would just be this stank attitude, stank, to the point where we sort of became calloused and were expecting it ahead of time. We're like, this one's gonna try to kick our ass. Which, by the way, we did have very famous artists, girls, try to like jump us. And cowards live longer. We were like, not our pretty faces. We fucking ran. We're not trying to.
Fight.
No, we're not trying to fight.
Are they still a group today? I'm trying to figure out.
I know.
Okay.
Everybody I'm talking about is still alive, so I can't actually name names.
Okay. Right. So, smart. They try to jump you again.
I think that again, why Erica and I are friends, my philosophy was always like, I'm just gonna like kill you with kindness, because you're not gonna hate me unless you have a reason to hate me. I'm gonna make it impossible for you to hate me. And so I would just like turn on the sunshine and the love.
Well, let's just be clear. She's the sunshine. I'm sometimes a bit of darkness. Like I will come for you. I will come for you.
I mean, she will come for you too. But
that's true. I have seen that in action.
let's talk about the fact that it was two of you guys and you were
Yeah.
working with the female, the one and only Bunny B, and now you have this
Bunny
special
B.
collaboration.
Uh-huh.
So
She
let's
messes
talk
up
about
everybody's
that.
name. It's Bunny D.
What did I say?
You said
Oh,
B.
Bunny D.
Yeah.
See,
Did I say Bunny B?
she messes up everyone's name. That's her thing.
Bunny D.
Thank God.
That you have this special collaboration with. Keep this in, Ceej. This is hilarious. Because you can like, Lottie, you just be mispronouncing. Don't care.
It's one letter. It's not even like a whole name. It's one letter.
But let's talk about your special collaboration with Bunny D.
Oh, thank God.
And working, because that's a great example of two females working together. So let's talk about it. Go ahead.
Okay. Bunny and I met when we were in high school. We've, of course, by then have had our ups and downs. We've had different philosophies about things or whatever. But the beautiful thing is that when, they say if you've been friends with somebody for 10 years, you're going to be friends for life, whether you like it or not. So we have been friends for the entire time. That's my sister, like it or not. She went on to do incredible things. I, meanwhile, continued making music and being up in the club, dancing on the table, doing all, she'd always be like, grow up. I'm like, I am a grow up. Kissing them all. So I continued making music. I've had the great pleasure of working with Coco Morier, like I said, and Yeti Beats and Jacob Bercovici, and I'm now working with Spencer. And I've worked with I've been blessed. Let's just put it that way. With Spencer, this project has been really about the two of us and everything we love and everywhere we come from. So the first one was called Roots, and it was kind of going back to my Haitian side. My mom's side is Haitian, my dad's side's French. Sort of bringing in, a lot of the rhythms and philosophies of the Caribbean and Africa and just being black. And his family's from the South, so it was a lot of like New Orleans, a lot of like diasporic music, if that's the word. This one is called Black Rice, which is a type of rice that they make in Haiti from a black mushroom that only comes from the mountains of Haiti. It doesn't grow anywhere else in the world. Special dish of ours. And this collaboration is a special dish that we were making, and that's where the title came from. And so this one is including a lot of my friends that I used to tour with, or some that I made friends with here that are old heads like me, but that are, they're iconic, and I never got a chance to work with them back in the day. And now as a grown ass woman, I'm like, that thing we always talked about doing 16 years ago, let's just do it now because we have access. Spencer's super gifted. We brought on Egyptian Lover. We brought on Barside.
I love Barside. Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I was like, Bunny and I just did a show for 808 Day, on August 8th for the throwback to that. And I was like, well, it's time for the trim to pop back up. How would you like to come do this with all of us? And she was like, okay, yeah, because all her kids are, they're in college or have graduated, all college, engineers, whatever. And she's like, I have time now to come back to the roots and to make music with my sister. And so we're gonna do the very first La Trim song in decades, and it's gonna be part of this Black Rice project. And
That's
I'm
amazing.
I'm breaking it here with y'all.
Yes. Exclusive.
Finally got an exclusive.
Y'all got the behind the scenes secret tea.
Yeah, the grown ass woman exclusive.
The grown ass woman exclusive.
I love it. I cannot wait to hear it. And you know what? Thank you so much for coming in at the last minute and talking with us, Lady Tigra. We really appreciate you. It's a pleasure. And for our listeners, be sure to check out Lady Tigra's new EP, Black Rice, when it drops. It's going to be very special.
Like she is.
Oh, thank you.
When we come back, we're going to get into the takeaway with Loni. This is Grown Ass Women Talking.
Welcome back. Now it's time for Lonnie's takeaway, because she always needs to. Oh, I'm not finished.
Oh God!
Come
on. You said takeaway. What else you talking about?
I'm trying to set you up, bitch.
Oh my God!
Because she always needs to have the last word.
No,
so
you end up having the last word, but
oh,
I'm like,
do I?
Yes, you do. I let you have.
All right.
Anyway,
here's time for Lonnie's takeaway. Let me get a sentence out.
Start it over. Let's start it over.
Keep this in, T, just so people know how difficult she is to work with.
Oh my God!
All right,
like girl,
welcome back. Now it's time for Lonnie's takeaway.
This has been a wonderful conversation with Lady Tigra, but we want to go back over some things about how to break the cycle of female rivalry. As you can tell, laughing really helps. That really helps. But also, women can help through mentorship and advocacy and creating opportunities. You can define how women interact at work by proving that there's room for many. And that helps when you seek out great mentors and do things like that. Help to amplify other women, reinforce their ideas and their suggestions. Give women credit for their ideas and their contributions. I mean, if your girlfriend is doing something, let her know, girl, you're doing a great job. Don't do like Erica does me and just tell me to shut up. It's like join forces. Now, this is something that Erica and I have done. We've joined forces and asked what you collectively need to work together. Okay. And we split the bills on everything. That's what we do.
I mean, it's more like 60-40.
Anyway, don't talk bad about other women. Don't gossip or throw them under the bus. All right. Use the company suggestion boxes and leaders Q&A sessions to raise issues. If you have, some problems, you should do it that way instead of, trying to like maybe go around the bend and be messy or whatever, because some people do need improvement. Stop expecting more from female versus male bosses and peers and direct reports. Stop judging women, including yourself, using a double standard. Assume best intentions, and if their behavior doesn't make sense to you, get curious and have a real conversation with them. Because, that's what we hear. Grown-ass women, we stand up and we talk about grown-ass things. And so we want to dispel this myth that women can't work together and it can only be one woman. It can only be one certain person. That's just not true. Right, Erica?
That's right, Lonnie. There's two of us.
You have any final words?
I do.
Okay.
You are doing a great job. This is
Erica after a glass of wine.
You were doing an amazing job, and I'm really proud of you.
And I'm really proud of the historic night that we have had.
Yes.
With this debate. We'll be talking a lot more about the election cycle and everything. And I want to thank you all for joining us for another episode of Grown Ass Women Talking. You guys, check me out in Phoenix, November the 10th, and the Miami Improv, December the 15th. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram or YouTube at GAWT Pod. Thanks again to Lady Tigra for joining us.
Bye. Love to everyone. Grown Ass Women Talking is a collaboration between True Love Productions, Dunnigan Lane Productions, and HARQ Media Productions. Our executive producers are Lonnie Love, Erica Montolfo, and Ceej Polkinghorne.
This episode was produced by Ceej Polkinghorne and edited by Nicholas Crawford. Our music is by Cole Curtis. Special thanks to Elizabeth Munch